This episode has been brought to you by JustNForm.com. If you're tired of being censored, tired of having your data stolen and sold, go to JustNForm.com, a social media site where all voices are welcome.
What's going on? There has been a bombshell that is dropped. Finally. Articles of impeachment have been drawn up for Rod Rosenstein. Now, as many of you know, I am not a Rosenstein fan. I am also not really a Trump fan either. However, I am a fan of accountability. I am a fan of objectivity. I am most of all a fan of rule of law. And Rosenstein, along with a lot of the DOJ, Department of Justice, along with the FBI, the CIA, a lot of them have just said, you know what? I know this is the rule of law, but I also have to take a piss, and the rule of law is sitting right here, so I might as well go ahead and do what I have to do. Because essentially that's what's happened. And for those who haven't pissed on the rule of law, they just went ahead and defecated on it. Because in this administration, in the last one, it just seems like nobody gives a damn. But the House Intelligence Committee did what they needed to do. They drafted articles of impeachment. And then first, I'm going to go over the facts with you. And then I'm going to give my opinion on what I think this really has to do with. I do believe it has to do with the facts presented in the articles. But I also think that there's something more that we discussed last week. And we'll go over that as well. But first, let's go over the facts. So, according to Town Hall, obviously it's being reported everywhere, but according to Town Hall, for House conservatives, they've had it with Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. It's the boiling point of months-long struggle between Congress and the Department of Justice over document disclosures. The DOJ had reportedly failed to comply with subpoenas for documents relating to the firing of Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, the Hillary Clinton email probe, and the alleged Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act abuses. Around 1.2 million pages of requested documents have yet to be materialized, and that's huge, because if this was you or I, we would be in jail, and that's why it's huge. I don't give a damn if you're left or you're right. I don't give a damn if you're Republican or Democrat. Neoliberal and neocon, I would give a damn, because usually, just neoliberals and neocons alike don't tend to be held accountable for their actions. They're one party, dollar sign party. Anyway, so in April, Devin Nunes, chair of the House Intelligence Committee, threatened to impeach FBI Director Chris Wray and Rosenstein for not turning over a 2-page brief that supposedly set the FBI's counterintelligence probe into a possible collusion with Kremlin and the Trump team during the 2016 election. Now, Special Counsel Mueller is heading that Russia probe. In May, the Washington Post reported that the Freedom Caucus, the House Freedom Caucus, had drafted articles of impeachment only as a last resort. But because of the continued delays, they went ahead and drafted up real articles of impeachment. Now, here's why Mark Meadows, which once again, 100% agree with, y'all know, like I said, I consider myself a progressive, but I agree with accountability above all else. And he gave very valid reasons. So he said, I just filed a resolution with Jim Jordan and several colleagues to impeach Rod Rosenstein. The DOJ has continued to hide information from Congress and repeatedly obstructed oversight. And that's not just this DOJ, by the way. This is something ongoing. This was something that really, in my opinion, started with the Obama administration when they refused to even address or indict Hillary Clinton on the Benghazi stuff. Okay, my gut tells me she's guilty because what hasn't she been guilty of? But objectively, I don't understand why that evidence was not enough to at least indict, which all that means is that she stands trial, we have all the evidence presented to us, and we make a decision from there. But I don't know why that was a problem. But the problem was we have an appointed official in Loretta Lynch who was never going to hold a member of her party, and hopefully, in her mind, her next boss, she was never going to hold Hillary Clinton accountable. Neither was the Deputy Attorney General at the time, which was Deputy Attorney General Yates. When you allow the appointment of these officials, the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, et cetera, if you allow them to be appointed by their administration, who do you think they're going to look out for? They're going to look out for their boss and what they hope to be their next boss in the next term. That's why I always preach, people, we need to move to have these officials that are appointed. We need to move to have them voted for. Your attorney general in your state right now is voted for. Most of the judges in your state, except for I believe federal judges, but you had to vote that judge in before that judge became a federal judge. So you still had to vote for that judge. So that's why I'm a firm believer in voting for those positions. But let me continue. Mark Meadows goes on to say that over the last 10 months, we've caught the DOJ withholding documents, hiding text messages, ignoring deadlines, engaging in FISA abuse, and defying congressional subpoenas. That's just a few examples. And Mark Meadows said that is enough, that enough is enough, and that we absolutely must proceed with this. So I agree with Mark Meadows. I think that it's frustrating for you to be on the House Intelligence Committee and not be able to get the documents that you need to do your job effectively. A lot of people may call this partisan politics, but what do you think is more substantiated? And what would you define as partisan politics? The Democrats try to draft articles of impeachment on Donald Trump based off of a allegation and an investigation that was headed by none other than Andrew McCabe, who was fired not by Donald Trump, but by the FBI. By the FBI. And the FBI said Andrew McCabe was not fit to be the deputy director nor head of that investigation, nor even work for the organization. He isn't even fit enough to collect his pension. That is how corrupt and unethical and immoral that Andrew McCabe behaved. James Comey, who directly hired Andrew McCabe, which, by the way, that was a highly contested appointment because they didn't believe that Andrew McCabe was fit to be second in command. But James Comey, who was also implicated in the IG reports, was in charge of this investigation as well. Also, both of these people were in charge of the Clinton email scandal, right? The CIA, James Clapper, John Brown, all these people, they can't be trusted at all, period. They literally spied on Congress and lied to them straight to their faces about it. And so this investigation led to articles of impeachment that, of course, never got followed through because, well, that was political games. That would have never gotten passed. They knew it wasn't going to get passed, but it was a stunt to see if they can get the news reels going, essentially. But it didn't happen. Okay, so do you think that is political games, or millions of documents being withheld from the House Intelligence Committee is more likely the reason? Now, I believe that everything, including in these tweets, are the reason, but I also believe there's one step further that is being so. Remember last week when Jack Burkman introduced the witness for the Seth Rich investigation. Whether or not the witness was being 100% truthful and honest, we don't know. I said that based off of my analysis, comparing his story to what took place in the story, that it's a story that really fills in the blanks in a lot of areas. Still asks the right questions, but fills in the blanks in a lot of areas. I said, well, I don't know if I can trust him personally, but I do know that his story does inadvertently and indirectly put the pieces of the puzzle together to make the picture a little bit more clear. But they did say that they had spoken to the House Intelligence Committee, that they did take a polygraph test. He said that they took the documents, that he did testify, and that the House Intelligence Community would be back with him shortly. They also said, Jack Burkman and his witness did say that in the following weeks, you will see more information come out about this, that you will see more waves made about this. And I believe that the reason that the House Intelligence Committee specifically is bringing this up may be directly tied to that Seth Rich investigation, because they were probably like, okay, we need emails, we need text messages from your government phone, which is, by the way, those are technically public property. Like, everybody in the public domain should be able to view those text messages as long as they're not considered top secret in classification. There is a high likelihood, a very, very high likelihood, that this is directly or indirectly attached to withholding information regarding the Seth Rich case. And I would be interested to see if that happens. It once again would fall in line with what the witness for Jack Burkman said, reaffirming the credibility that he was asking for. He said he couldn't give his name. He said he couldn't give certain bits of information, but he did give a lot of information at that press conference. And like I said, I would have initially dismissed the press conference if Yahoo News didn't show up, if Washington Post didn't show up, if New York Times didn't show up, if Daily Beast didn't show up, if all these mainstream publications, because it wasn't just them, it was a lot of them. I thought that it was potentially a nothing burger, right, that they always use. I thought it was going to be a nothing burger, but that apparently was not the case if all these news publications showed up. But here's what was most interesting about it to me. You all understand the media. Obviously, I am part of the media and the press, and I think I have a pretty good understanding of how that side of the press works. When there is something to be ridiculed, they will absolutely, especially in a very highly partisan discussion, in a partisan dispute, like the Seth Rich investigation. Well, I say partisan, I mean the establishment versus those who seek truth above all else and retribution. Then you know that when that opportunity presents itself, they will smack down any narrative that is not substantiated, that they cannot prove. When he said that he took a polygraph test, when he said that he presented those documents to the House Intelligence Committee, and when he said that he did testify in front of the House Intelligence Committee, and that there would be more information coming on the coming weeks, these are people who have White House press passes. These are people who can go on the Hill and talk to whoever they need to, staff. They can talk to assistants. They can talk to the Congress people themselves, the senators themselves, and figure out whether or not this holds any truth. If there was no truth to be found, it would have been ridiculed the next day by everybody. Now, caveat, the Daily Beast tried to ridicule it. It didn't really go well, but the Daily Beast's job is to literally try to ridicule anything that even remotely resembles the quote-unquote right. Now, I am in the camp of the Seth Rich situation, where I know how the investigation got started. It was because progressives were adamant about solving his murder, and then they merged with those on the right who cared about that same level of accountability. That the right that saw Seth Rich as a patriot. And I'm happy that there was a merger on that. I am not happy, however, at the way it is being spun. I am not happy at the fact that they don't even speak of Seth Rich as a progressive, because they don't want you to question the narrative. Why would the right help a progressive? And it's because there are certain things in this country that unite us above all else. And that's becoming more and more clear as the years go on. And it's crazy to say that it's been years, but it has. So I think that Seth Rich investigation is directly tied into this. And if that press conference, like I said when it first came out, if that press conference was absolutely nothing, it would have been ridiculed over the coming weeks. It's been about a week and a half now. Nothing. Outside the Daily Beast trying to do what it always does. Washington Post asked questions, didn't print it up. The Yahoo News, New York Times. There were a couple, like Crowdsource the Truth was there, Jason Goodman, but like all the mainstream legacy media was there, didn't say anything about it, which means they probably likely had it confirmed that what that witness said about the actions that he took and the people that he spoke to, whether or not his story is true or not, the actions that he took, the people that he spoke to, were likely that was true. The people that he said he spoke to, he did. Which means that witness probably wouldn't want to perjure himself. And here we are. I'm excited to see how this turns out. Hopefully we get some accountability on all sides. And let's keep. I'm gonna keep an eye on this. And if you have any news, make sure you send it on over to me. You can DM me. You see my Twitter below. You can also send it on Messenger on JustNForm as well, peeps. Hey, thanks for tuning in to this segment of Mika Says Sukasa. You can join us on JustNForm and make sure that you subscribe to Stop the Russian Menace. Yeah, that's it. If you smash that subscribe button, then USA, just hit subscribe, people. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.